This is the Prize Fighting Business. I'm your host, Daniel Casedo, and today I'm joined by Isiah Torres. Isiah, thanks for joining me.
Hey, right on. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. And then excited to see you fight, not this weekend, but next weekend, June 26th at Sparta's Army vs. Marines event. And you'll be fighting for the flyweight MMA title for Sparta. 8-3 record going in. So a cool opportunity for you. And how you feeling here about a week out?
It's good. It's been stressful. So actually, I'm fighting at 140 against Mario Rodriguez from A Family Affair. He's just,
Oh, okay.
I think he's ranked like 4 or 3
Cool.
at bantamweight, and we were gonna do it at bantamweight because Caesar had got hurt during practice, and we try to get that title shot figured out. But with such short notice, I kind of figured it was going to be hard to find anybody who had like as many fights as me or was willing to do it at 125 anyways. So right after that, we looked at maybe like 130 people who are 25ers who can't cut all the way and get a catch weight at 130, but weren't able to get that done either. So then I was like, well, let's look at bantamweights. And really the only like available one right now was Mario's. And thankfully he took it like right on to him. I appreciate it. And with such short notice, we're just gonna do it 140 max. So it's pretty much a bantamweight fight, but just give him a little leeway because it is like on a week's notice. So I don't blame him because when I'm out of camp, like I'm like 150, so I don't blame him.
Yeah, cool. So a little bit of change on the fly here. Now you'll be facing Mario Rodriguez, AFA boxing at 140 pounds. Cool. So I guess that means there's no weight cut then.
Yeah, I was already like 138 that day that we were talking about it, and then because I originally I was still gonna go to 130, and we had a couple options, but those fell through. So I was like, all right, well, I don't want to be weight cutting so far until the fight, and then not even have a fight. And luckily that day we found someone, and I was already 130, so 138. So I was like, whatever, 140 is cool with me.
Yeah. Neat. So who have you been training with primarily for this fight camp?
Same team. I'm still with Ultimate. So I'm with James Casillas. I'm with Louis. I got teammates Augie. I got Isaiah Diggs who have fought recently. Coach Terrence is down there too. And then Coach Jeremy, I just came back, so I'll probably try to get with him a little bit this week and just catch up a little bit. And then of course Adam Martinez from Factory X, just because we're a family. So he'll be down this week to help me out too.
Very cool. Yeah, great team around you there.
Yeah.
So with no weight cut for this fight, no title on the line. I mean, what is the motivation for this for you?
Well, losing the title kind of sucked because I wanted to. Obviously, title fights are a lot bigger and you get a lot more eyes on it, I guess. But I just wanted to get back in MMA. I haven't done MMA in about like a year and a half now, and so I don't know how many more amateur fights I'm gonna have. So just trying to get any MMA fight at this point, really. Just because I haven't done one. I've done the kickboxing, boxing. We had Muay Thai scheduled. So we've done all that. I just wanted to finally get back into MMA and just get with those small gloves again.
Yeah, no, I love your approach to your amateur career. I mean, taking the fights as you can get them, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, or Muay Thai or MMA. And like you alluded to there, I mean, your most recent performance was a victory over Aaron Lopez, a peak kickboxing and kickboxing match, which a great win for the resume. Has to make you feel good about your striking going into another MMA fight. So what has what does a normal week of training during this fight camp look like for you here preparing for an MMA fight?
So like you said, like kind of like going through like all the disciplines. When I was just getting ready for kickboxing, I was boxing a lot and then kicking a lot. I wasn't really doing like as much jiu-jitsu or as much wrestling. I was still doing it obviously, but with this camp now, I'm going to jiu-jitsu a lot more. I did a grappling industries tournament, so getting back into like competition jiu-jitsu and going back with Josh Childress and those guys at his gym at Childress Jiu-Jitsu in Pueblo too, and just working with them a lot. I started like getting back into like jiu-jitsu and like really enjoying it again and growing in. I've felt like I've really got a lot better and just like from January, just in that short span in jiu-jitsu, because we were looking at MMA this whole time. So working with them. And then in the mornings, I'm still doing like a lot of boxing, a lot of footwork stuff. With James, we're always doing cardio stuff. When Adam comes down, we're always working on combos. We're always working on like strategy stuff. And then I'm sure when I work with Jeremy, we'll be doing like the same stuff that we did like before he had left. So that's pretty much all I've been doing for the weeks leading up to this is pretty much the same, but just changing up a little bit, tweaking a little bit, adding more jujitsu instead of just focusing just on like hands and kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah. What is your favorite aspect of training?
For me personally, it switches. Some days I like love kickboxing, some days I love boxing, and then some days I like love jujitsu. So it kind of just depends, honestly. But I like them all together, and that's why I wanted to get back into MMA is to put it all together. That's what's so cool about MMA is you could win in so many ways, you could lose in so many ways, and yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about fighting in general, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. No, and having a passion for all these different martial arts, I'm sure only helps in the MMA fights, especially like this one coming up. So, I mean, how do you, or what do you know about your opponent? Obviously, you know what Jimmy goes to, and he's been around the Sparta scene a little bit, so I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with him. What do you know about him, and how do you see this matchup going for you?
So I've seen a couple of his fights live, and he's a pretty good boxer. AFA, always have a bunch of good like strikers and stuff like that. I fought Dudo in the past from their gym, and we had a good fight, just straight kickboxing. So I know that their striking's good. And just watching him, I just know that he's there for the fight. I guess to say like he's every fight that I've seen him in have never really been boring. He always goes for finishes. Every fight that I've seen him in, he's got finishes or um, just had like crazy back and forth fights. So that's what kind of like interested me,
Yeah,
like in him from the beginning.
yeah. How do you see the fight going?
So he'll be a little bigger. He's naturally bantamweight, so I'm sure he'll be a little bigger. But me being natural like 125, I'm sure I'll be a little faster. And then I think I could mix up everything a little better than he could. To me, it seems like he's more of like a stand-up guy, but like in MMA, you kind of have to blend it. Me and Adam always talk about make sure you keep the blend, get the blend going, get the blend going, and I think I just do that a little better than him.
Yeah, very excited. No, I think it's a great matchup. I'm excited to see it. You know, like you said, you'll be going up and wait a little bit for it, but great matchup skill set wise, and you're probably been the more active fighter. So all around, I'm excited to watch it. So you know, you touched on at the beginning. You're 8-3 in MMA. You've got boxing matches. You've done competitive grappling. You've done kickboxing and Muay Thai. So you know, what's next after this? Are we looking at going pro, or is it take a couple more amateur fights? What do you want for the rest of the year?
So yeah, I think I know Augie and those guys are looking at we're kind of all gunning to go pro at the same time. Diggs had just came off a good win against Alirez.
Yeah,
And Augie had just came off a win against another top 2 guy too. So I think like we're kind of running out of opponents, I guess, at this point. So and I think we're like all ready for it. And if we all go like at the same time, all we could do is like better each other and push each other because we will have to go those extra 2 minutes each round.
yeah,
So after this one, I think we'll probably start looking to going towards pro.
cool. Very exciting. And so, do you have a manager now, or is that something that you would get in place to go pro? How would you approach that?
Yeah, I'll probably get one when I go pro.
Cool.
But now it's just like me, James. James is pretty much like my manager. He like goes through it all. I see him every day, so we're always talking about stuff like that we could do and line up stuff.
Beautiful. So, so goal for the rest of the year, likely angling at least to go pro. If you don't go pro this year, trying to find some people in the amateurs is getting a little harder for you. And I think you have a wealth of experience. I mean, well-rounded experience, specific experience in MMA. So, you know, you certainly have the resume to make it happen. So, I like to see that it's happening for you, man. And what would you say your goals are overall for your career in general in MMA?
So for like this year, I definitely want to go pro. I know there's a couple cards in August for Sparta, and then I know there's some down here in Pueblo. So either way, I think it would be cool to go pro if I go pro with Sparta because I've been with them for a while, or if I have my pro debut down here in my hometown, that would also mean a lot to me too. And for my career, like I'm still young, so like I'm still learning, growing. To me, it's still fun right now. Like I'm having fun. Like I'm not burnt out like from practice or anything. So I think once it starts getting to that point, like I won't do it. But I'm like nowhere near that point right now. I'm still
Yeah.
growing, still having fun, still doing all these competitions, and that's why I kind of like staying busy. It's because it gives me a goal, I guess. So I
Yeah.
don't like these long layoffs. So I did the jiu-jitsu tournament because it helped me like weight cut. I did it at 135. So I had a goal and plan. Okay, I got to get to 135 there. Then I could cut the rest to 125 when it was originally that. Um, so just have like little goals along the way. You kind of have to have that. If you just have one big goal, it's kind of hard because you could lose track. You could put off everything. You'd be like, oh well, I could do it next week, next week. But
Right.
if you get like these little things of, oh, I got a tournament like in 2 weeks, I gotta get my cardio up a little bit, I gotta get my weight down. I think long term, that's what will benefit me in my career.
No, absolutely. I love the perspective. I love it. So this fight coming up June 26th, Saturday, Army versus Marines, Sparta. You're going to be facing a 140-pound catchweight version of Mario Rodriguez from AFA Boxing. So how can people follow your career online, and how can they give you credit for this fight?
So I make a couple posts like towards that. When it gets closer to the fight, I'll make like how to buy tickets, how to get the pay-per-view. I know I have a lot of family out of states and stuff, so check that out. I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram. So give me a follow on those, and you guys could check out how to buy the pay-per-view.
Awesome. Awesome. Give them a follow. Give us a follow. Isaiah, thank you very much for joining me, and Chuck in your upcoming fight, man.
All right, right on, man. Thank you.